As we approach November's midterm elections, our next guest is offering hope and practical advice for anyone currently worried about the Trump administration. It comes in the form of a new book titled This is a Plan: How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy. And it maps out comprehensive ways to dictator-proof the U.S. government, defeat MAGA at every level of the ballot box, and build a future of democracy, opportunity, and freedom for all. And with us now, the author of the book, political organizer and strategist Ben Wickler. He previously served as the chairman of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. What great timing for this book. The fear and the loathing, the weeping, the gnashing of teeth, the sackcloth and ashes. I must tell you, as a former Republican, surrounded by my Democratic friends, I don't understand it. This is a time Democrats should be coming together. And yet, every opinion piece I see, every social media post, it's like about a division in the Democratic Party that doesn't even have to be.
It's true. The reality of this moment is that we are a nation in profound crisis, but also there's a very clear path out of this mess to get to a better place than we've ever been. It's going to take thousands of people rolling up their sleeves and doing the work. That's what we did in my state, in Wisconsin, which was more rigged and more dominated by the far right than the U.S. government is today. And if we could do it in Wisconsin over this last decade and a half, we can do it more quickly nationwide now. That's what I want to help people do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you about Wisconsin. It was an absolute wreck. It was rigged. The voters had no say in the makeup of the state legislature, usually because it was just radically shifted and rigged to help Republicans. Now, let's talk, though, about this moment. And again, I will say, as a former Republican, now an independent who is for pro-democracy forces, my attitude has always been, we're Baptists. We will play 16 hymns of Just As I Am. If that's what it takes to bring new converts down, we will wait. And when those new converts come in, we hug them. And I will say, when I look at progressives, who I will say were very patient throughout the Biden administration, I saw people that knocked on doors. I saw people that made phone calls. I saw people that did all of these things that more moderate Democrats might not be as lined up to do. So again, what's your message to people on the left and in the center that seem to be fighting each other right now, instead of looking at these fall elections and understanding that's where the real battle is?
So a big tent goes in both directions. And most critically, a big tent goes to people who do not put politics at the center of their lives. In Wisconsin, we have elections over and over that come down to 3 or 4 votes per precinct across the state. We built teams neighborhood by neighborhood that go out and talk to people who may think of politics the way that you and I think of curling, which is something that's on TV for a few weeks every 4 years, and otherwise it's just not part of the deal. You have to be reaching out to people who are not already with you and engaging them and welcoming them. People are furious right now about affordability, and people who are paying close attention are in a state of panic about the threats to democracy itself. But the reality is that because elections are run at the state and local level, it's the races that are most obscure that get the least public attention, where a few voters can change everything. If we win in the states in 2026, we have a democracy in 2028. And that's something that every person who reads this book or watches this show can help to affect.
Well, and give us what is at the heart of this book. What's the thesis? What's the big takeaway you want Americans who care about democracy to take from your book?
Look, there's a huge amount of attention, and rightly so, on the disaster of the Trump administration, on the fight for the House majority, the fight for the Senate majority. But all of those things are ultimately affected by laws that are passed at the state and local level by the people who oversee where the polling places are and how the ballots are counted. So if you are in a state of hair on fire panic about our democracy at this moment, remember that the future of democracy in this country could come down to state legislative races that amount to a few dozen votes. And you and a group of friends can reach out to the voters who will tip that state legislative seat, to tip that state legislative majority that will determine whether we're gerrymandered all to hell and whether elections are rigged and overturned for years to come. That means that there is power in the hands of anyone who zeroes in on those races that seem obscure but actually have enormous power. I lay out in the book exactly how you can find those fights, how you can get involved, and how we did that in my state of Wisconsin and are actually a democracy now that could turn blue this fall.
It is so important. And again, going back to the Republican example, Democrats can borrow from Republicans who in 1980, you had the moral majority that started obsessively focusing on local races, on city council people, on county commissioners, on school boards. And they radically affected change and built an entire generation of leaders out of that. So you are right. It's grassroots, grassroots, grassroots. Let's talk about Michigan, a state that's right next door to you. Over the weekend, Bernie Sanders and AOC rallied in support of the Democratic candidate, Abdul El-Sayed, in the state's U.S. Senate race. Today, he's getting another endorsement from Elizabeth Warren. Take a look.
I'm endorsing Abdul. He is the fighter Michigan needs in the Senate. Michiganders deserve a senator who will fight for you, not for special interests running millions of dollars in TV ads to buy this seat. And make no mistake, Abdul is the only candidate in this race who can build the grassroots movement needed to win in November.
So, Ben, every member of Congress has and the Senate has every right to do everything. I'm not second guessing them. I do wonder, though, why party leaders and even parties sometimes are getting so involved in primary races instead of letting voters in those states decide and then everybody coming together after there's a nominee.
I will say that last part. That is the plan, and this is the plan. No matter who you support in a primary, and this is true in Michigan, in Wisconsin, everywhere in this country right now, the critical thing is that the day after, everyone, Democrats, independents, disaffected, non-MAGA Republicans, come together to elect people who will ensure that free and fair democracy and justice become a real possibility in this country. If you want someone who will overturn elections, you want to vote for the MAGA candidate. If you want someone who will ensure that the people decide who wins in primaries as well as general elections, in this election, you've got to vote for the Democrats and independents who will make sure that our democracy survives. That is the mission. That's the plan. And we have just a few months left to ensure that we get through this moment of crisis.
Well, and it is a moment of crisis, and Democrats and independents and Republicans who care about this democracy, who care about fair and free elections, who care about actually electing people who will respect the will of the American voter and will also, unlike Argentina and Donald Trump, accept defeat with the same grace that they would accept victory. If you want that to happen, you need to come together. And Ben, this book is a great way to start. The new book titled This is the Plan, How to End America's Meltdown and Save Democracy is out tomorrow. Author Ben Wickler, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate you being here.